Good morning. I'm going to be making the On The Fringe bag in the 5x7 hoop. So I'm going to first put the stabilizer in my hoop. You will need the following items. You will need 2 pieces of fabric for your exterior, and I'm cutting my fabric, since I'm using the 5x7 hoop, I'm cutting my fabric 6x8, and I made a little template so it would be easier to do that. But you'll need 2 pieces of exterior fabric, 6x8. You will need something that will complement the exterior fabric for the lower part, which has the applique on it, which will be the applique piece. You will need a zipper, and I'm using, I think, a 14-inch zipper. Even though that's too big, I'll cut the ends off when needed. You will need 2 pieces of lining fabric, and if you want to put a little hook on the side, you will need, I cut these 3/4 inch by 3 inches, and I'll put the little piece of metal on there, the D-ring, later. So the first thing I'm going to do is insert my hoop in the machine and run the placement stitches. Now you see I have placed or stitched out my placement stitch. I'm going to take my zipper and put it with the actual metal zipper tab at the top of the hoop, because you see I'm using a brother machine with the connector on the left hand side. But I'm going to take now and tape this longer zipper here on the within the area here. I'll be taping that down. Now you see I've taped the zipper down, and I'm going to take it now to the machine, and it will stitch the zipper down to the stabilizer. Now you can see my zipper has been tacked down using gold thread, which is going to complement the main fabric. I'm going to take and turn the hoop over, and I'm going to take my one of the pieces of my lining fabric, which is this dark purple fabric, and I'm going to take, and I know it's very difficult to see, actually almost impossible, but I'm going to take the piece of lining fabric and place it at the very bottommost, the original placement line for the zipper, the bottommost portion of the zipper. I'm going to place my fabric right side down, just like that, and I'm going to tape it down. Okay, now I have taped the lining, first piece of lining, to the back of the hoop. I'm going to turn the hoop over, and I'm going to take and somehow one-handedly roll this up, and I'm going to tape it right here so it stays out of the way, right at the top of the hoop. Okay, you can see that I have done that. I have taped it down where it'll stay out of the way. Now I'm going to take my front exterior fabric, which this is a directional fabric because you can see the birds right here. I'm going to, if you'll just put it down where, like this, to know that you have it the correct direction, and just flip it then up like that, and then take and tape it down at the bottom of the zipper edge. Tape the fabric at the bottom of the zipper edge, and I'll do that now. Now you see I have taped it down, the front piece, and I'm going to take it to the machine, and it is going to put a line of stitching right across here, which will secure the front piece and the lining piece on the back side of the hoop. Now you can see that I have stitched this down here to the zipper, and on the back side it's also stitched down. Next thing I'm going to do is take a piece of the whatever. I'm just using regular batting, quilting batting, and I have cut it. Instead of 6 by 8, I've probably cut it about, let's see, about 5 by 8. I'm going to put it right under the stitch line here. Make sure it's even. And then I'm going to take and fold over the top fabric. And I'm going to take this to my iron and I'm going to iron this down. And I've come back from my iron. I have ironed this down so it will stay in place here and make a nice crease along the top here. So next I'm going to take it back to my embroidery machine. So I have placed the hoop back in the embroidery machine, and the next thing that I'll be doing is the placement stitch for the applique at the bottom of the fabric. Now I'm going to take the bottom piece of applique fabric and place it over the lines. If this was a lighter piece of applique fabric on the top, I would double it over or put 2 layers so the bottom fabric did not show through. But anyhow, I'm going to now do the placement stitch. Okay, the placement stitch has been run, and I'm going to take now with a very sharp applique pair of scissors and trim this top portion off. And this is way too long hanging over. I'm going to probably trim an inch or so at the bottom here because that's just unnecessary. So I'll be right back. All right, now you can see I have trimmed the bottom applique piece and also trimmed a portion off the very bottom also that was hanging over. And now the next thing we'll be doing, the machine will do the satin stitch along here. All right, now I have finished, or the machine has finished doing the satin stitch. Looks quite nice, if I might say so. However, there's a little puckering here that I'm not pleased with, and I'm going to take it now to the iron and try to eliminate that before. The next step will be putting the fringe, stitching what I call the fringe below this here, down in this area. So I'll be right back. Okay, I took to the iron and I tried to get rid of some of this area in here that's a little puckery, if that's a word. But now I'm going to stitch the, as I said, the fringe. Okay, the fringe, as I call it, has been completed. Now the next step I'm going to do is I'm going to, this is optional, but I'm going to put just a line right under the zipper of satin stitch. As I say, you can do it if you want to or not. So let me do that now. Okay, as you can see, my little decorative line of satin stitches has now stitched out. And the next thing I'm going to do is take the project out of the machine, and I'm going to remove this tape here. And just let it fall back to the back. And I'll also take these pieces of tape off if I can do that with one hand. Which, well, okay. Alrighty. So I'm going to pull this taut, and I'm going to take and put tape here on this side and over here, and I'm going to run the next set of stitches, which will stitch that portion down. Be right back. Okay, I've done that, and I've taped this down. I'm going to put it back in the machine, and I will stitch down the back or the piece of lining, the front piece of lining actually. Okay, that has been accomplished, as you can see, with it going around the exterior here below the zipper all the way around there. And the next thing that comes up is I'm going to do tabs to place where I'll place my D-rings. Now I have included tabs that would stitch along the top here in 2 places, or since this is such a small purse, 1 tab over here, which is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to skip this particular tabs here, the multiple tabs, and go to the next tab stop. And this next tab stop is going to do a placement stitch, so you'll know where to stick the little piece of fabric or vinyl. Okay, I'm back. That has been accomplished. As you can see, it did a small satin stitch right here on the side, so I'm going to take and attach the piece of vinyl there. So I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back, and I have taped this down in the front side there so it doesn't get in the way, and I've taped it, of course, the back. So let me put this on the machine and get this stitched down. Okay, as you can see, this has been stitched down, and I'm going to leave the tape on there. And once again, this piece of faux leather was 3 inches long and 3/4 of an inch wide. That's what I use. And typically, and I didn't do it this time, I take and I will staple this together right here at the top so it doesn't come loose. But it's way out of the stitch line here, so you don't have to worry about it being hit. If you keep it way up here, that just keeps the 2 pieces from coming apart, but it didn't come apart anyhow. So let me go, and the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to be taking the back exterior fabric and placing it face down over this front part. But before I do that and screw things up, I need to take and open my zipper about 3/4 of the way. Okay, I'm back. I'm going to take my exterior piece, and this is a directional piece, but I can't see birds on this particular segment of the fabric, so I guess it doesn't matter. But turn that over right side down and make sure it covers the bottom here, and make sure it goes a bit over the zipper at the top, and then take another piece of your batting and place it also down on top of that. And I don't typically use tape at this point. If you have a machine that will allow you to raise your embroidery presser foot, I would do that. Raise it a bit, because now this is thicker, obviously. So let me put it back on the machine, and it will tack down all of this together, and we're almost done. Okay, I'm back to the cutting area, and as you see, this has been tacked down, and now I'm going to turn the hoop back over, and I'm going to take my other piece of what will be the lining on the lining on the interior, and I'm going to place it face down, covering on all sides, and also again covering up a little past the zipper. This is obviously just the one tone, but if it were a two-tone or something with a pattern, you would put this piece of fabric face down on top of here. But with this, it doesn't matter, obviously. So hold on, I'll be right back. So as you can see, I've placed tape at the four corners of the fabric. So I'm going to take it to the machine and do the last step, which will go all around the exterior of the bag, but leaving an opening at the bottom of the bag to turn the bag inside out. So hold on. And I just wanted to point out before this reaches the part, I had moved the zipper over. I can feel the zipper right here where my finger is, and you can see the foot of the machine is coming fairly close to it, so you need to be careful when you're stitching that you know, you don't you go very slowly through here to make sure you don't somehow hit the foot. Actually, it probably does touch it slightly, but since it's just on this edge, it touches it, I think. Did it? No, maybe it didn't. Anyhow, just always be cognizant of where your zipper is and where you're stitching so you don't have a catastrophe. So I've now, the bag is completed as far as the sewing, and you see it tacked down this lining that I just placed on here, leaving a place to turn the bag. So now I'm going to take it out of the hoop, and I'm going to trim. I always trim from this back side. I'm going to trim about 1/4 inch all the way along here, but when I get down to this opening, I'm going to do that a little differently, and I'll show you after I'm finished. Hold on, be right back. Now, as you can see, I have cut around the exterior, leaving about 1/4 inch allowance, and at the bottom, here's the two pieces of interior fabric, and here is my stabilizer, which I just use paper towels as stabilizer, and here's the batting, and here's all the rest of it. I'm going to take my scissors and leave about 1/4 inch and cut, pulling these out of the way. We don't want to cut these off, but I'm going to cut the rest of this bulk off of here because it's not needed at this point, so hold on. Okay, now you can see all I have left here are these two pieces of what are the lining of the bag, and I won't be able to do it with the camera because I need an extra hand or two, but I'm going to turn the bag through here, and I'll do that and be right back. Okay, I've turned the bag out this where now you can see the zipper, and I'm just going to take, since this is a paper towel, I'm just going to take, actually you can take your fingernail and just get rid of this. It'll come right off. So let me finish that, and then I'll be going to the sewing machine, or to the iron first, because I like to iron this. I turn these two pieces in, and I'll be ironing them nice and flat, so I'll be right back. Now I'm at the ironing board now, and I gave it a little press to make it flat, and now I'm going to take and turn this shorter piece of fabric in, and I'm going to give that a little press. And then I'm going to take this other piece of fabric and insert it here, and also use my iron to iron it down. So I'll be right back. Now I have ironed this down, and I'm going to take it here to the sewing machine and close it up here on the bottom. So be right back. All right, so I've closed the bottom, and of course you've always got a lot of little threads. I'm going to take my snipper and snip off all these odd threads, and then I'll be back. Okay, I have taken and gotten rid of the rest of the, or most of the rest of the, what was paper towel along the zipper there. Now I'm going to open the zipper a little more, as open as I can get it so I can turn it. Hold on. Okay, as you can see, I've turned it right side out. Let me take off this piece of tape here, and I'm going to take it now back to the iron and give it a good press, and I'll show you how that looks in a moment. All right, she's all done, and this is a very small, as I say, it's for the 5x7 hoop, so it's about 6.5 by 4.5, but I think it makes a really cute little change purse. And anyhow, this is my first video ever, and hopefully you will forgive me for all the mistakes I may have made, but hopefully they were not anything that was too bad. But thank you so much for watching, and this is how I do all of my applique purses, which is the only thing I make. So any bag that you see of mine should be constructed in the same way, regardless of size, of course. Doesn't matter what size it is. So thank you so much for watching.